Welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Welcome to our International Food Wine Travel Writer Association second Friday Big Blend Radio Vacation Station Travel Show. Today, Elaine-Masters, who is an award-winning San Diego-based freelance travel writer and digital storyteller, is joining us to discuss her farm stay vacation in northern Quebec. And apparently she learned how to make maple candy.
Ooh.
And she got to play with barnyard animals. She
that.
met wolves, deer, bison. Like, seriously. This looks cool.
Nice.
Yes, rescued animals. So this is a positive place. So really excited to chat with her about it. Her article is in the October-November issue of Parks and Travel magazine, but you can read it now. You can go to nationalparktraveling.com and just type in Quebec. You'll find it, or type in Elaine-Masters and you'll find the article, and you can see the photos as well. And she founded tripwellgal.com in 2010, and she posts weekly stories and travel tips, and she's been encouraging boomer gals and their pals to go far, go often, and do it well. She's into conscious travel. We like that.
Yes, it's good to be conscious when you travel.
Yes. Well, you know what I mean. It's really good. Anyway, she's also part of the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. She's been a member for about a couple years. And, you know, we love to interview members from IFTWA, what we call the organization. It's easier. And we always get to go around the world with them. And today it's Northern Quebec. So I like that. Also, you can keep up with Elaine on Facebook and Twitter. If you just go to her website, tripwellgal.com, you'll be able to connect with her there. But welcome, Elaine. How are you?
I am doing so well. Thank you for having me.
Hey, we're excited to have you here. And now this farm stay, this is a family-run farm, right?
It is. They started this farm in the Sacré-Cœur area north of Quebec, about 3 hours away by car, in 1979, and they named it Ferme 5 Étoiles, which is the 5-star farm for their kids that came along after the couple moved up there.
Oh, okay, that's it. And so the website is Ferme 5 Étoiles. Did I get that?
You did. Yes.
I had to do that real fast after you said their name. I was like, okay, I can do this, because at this point I was only thinking I could do Quebec. But so everyone can go on the website and have a look at what they've done. But since 79 you said, or 59?
Yes, that's when the family started working with rescuing animals and working on their farm.
So this is wildlife, right, that they're rescuing?
Yes, it is. It's wildlife, but they also have some farm animals because it is a working farm. While I was on the farm, every morning I was having eggs from the chickens that were being harvested out in the hen house.
Oh, wow. That's nice. Farm to table there, really, for sure. So when you were there, like, how long did you stay?
I stayed 2 days. I wish I could have stayed longer. And I was there, it was at the end of winter, just the beginning of the spring. So there was still some piles of snow up on the ground, but they are open year round. And if I had been there a couple weeks earlier, I could have gone ATV riding and all kinds of things like that. They have cross-country skiing trails. But we went down and were able to get into the areas to get close to the animals. But we also got a chance to go down and picnic on the fjord, which is just about 10-minute drive from the farm too.
Oh, wow, nice. That is amazing. So you're having a winter picnic. I like that.
Yeah,
we were. Yeah, there was some ice even floating out there just off the dock.
Ooh. Oh, wow. And you know, there's also a lighthouse trail that's near here, right?
Yes, it's on the other side of the fjord. The St. Lawrence River comes in, and there's the Saguenay Fjord there. And I'd have to look at a map, but they have, I think, like 20 lighthouses along that trail. I'd love to spend weeks just kind of going from one to the next someday.
And it's a historic town that, you know, they're based out of, a historic village?
Yes, the village of Tadoussac was an ancient First Nation trading post, and then the French came in and started working with them there, and they have had quite a history working together, and that the village is really active as a summer getaway for Quebecois and other Canadians who come. But we were there, like I said, and when it was a little bit cold, we had the town to ourselves, and we actually went out whale watching even so.
Oh,
Ooh, nice.
oh, I'm liking this now.
That's exciting.
I know.
Mm.
And so I like also that you went in winter, because a lot of times people kind of go, oh, I'm not going when there's snow, and yet we've even found in our national park system, like places like Yosemite and Yellowstone are actually really magical in the winter. There's a different silence, a silence that you can hear
Right,
when you're
right.
out there. And
Yes.
it's just different with the wildlife. And so I'm glad you went out there at that time. The type of wildlife, this is fascinating to me that they're bringing in rescues. So this is kind of like a Canadian program of taking care of wildlife.
They are. They're bringing them in, the animals from the region, and their hope is to introduce people to, say, the various kind of deer then that they have there. And they were in a very large enclosure. They get fed regularly. They were very friendly. The first thing I did when I put down my bags in my very comfortable room was to walk outside and just get a sense of the lay of the land. There's beautiful hillside there. And there was, all of a sudden, I'm standing next to this huge paddock of bison, and they're just munching away on hay and hanging out. It's just, each time I walked to a different part of the area, there was something else to see.
Wow. And to see the bison. And so there was wolves as well. That was something amazing to me.
Yes.
They were rescuing wolves.
Yes, they have an Arctic wolf and a gray wolf, and the Arctic wolf is a very friendly female, and she, in fact, we were told to take off anything we didn't want to break, wear something we didn't mind getting dirty, because she likes to give hugs, and that made me a little nervous, but I got it. She's like a big puppy. And I mean big. She would jump up and put her paws on your shoulders and nuzzle your neck.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Man. And so did you see moose when you were there? I have to ask that. Anybody up in the northern areas, like, did you see a moose?
I did not. I've seen them on the other side of Canada, but I didn't in this trip, but I did see a beautiful deer who was acting like he was the leader of his group, because he came right up to our fence and he had this gorgeous rack of horns on him.
Wow. And for you, I mean, you're based in San Diego. This is quite a different, the views are it's, I know you've got Julian in the mountains country, but this is completely different, like night and day, even the way the animals are. Though we do have a wolf preserve in Julian.
Right.
And they just had babies. They have wolf
cool.
pups. I
That's
know.
so awesome.
I'm so excited about that. But this is really a different experience going from Southern California to cold Quebec.
Absolutely. It was really exciting for that reason too. Yes. To see a whole different, I had never had a chance to get out in the countryside in that whole part of the country. So that was very exciting for me.
So they have homestays year round. Tell us about your accommodations, because from what I've seen, there's like little cabins, almost like little log cabins. Is that what you stayed in?
I did not. I stayed. They had like a what would you say, like a guest house, and
okay.
But there were several like 2-person apartments. Basically, we had a kitchen and then 2 separate bedrooms, and each bedroom had a couple of beds in it. So it's really set up for families and groups. They do have some cabins, I believe, on the property, and the main building also where the restaurant and the gift shop is. I think there's some rooms right adjacent to that as well. So there's a lot of different ways to stay there. They also have a small event center, so they've really built up quite a unique property. It's a resort, basically, but different than anything I've seen.
Yeah, because when you think of conscious travel, it's being conscientious. It's and being aware. And so when you look at this, because sometimes you never know where, you always wonder about the animals sometimes. Some places are more zoo-like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then here's like a genuine. So this is very genuine in what they're doing in rehabilitating and helping the wildlife, stay alive.
And they're also a big part of the community. There are other kind of refuges around the area. And for example, the 2 wolves, if I'm remembering this right, were adopted from another farm that had found these abandoned pups. And they brought them in because they had the room for them.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm looking at all their images. It's so interesting the kind of wildlife they have out there. There's like a marmot. They have marmots. That's
Whoa.
I'm into that. I'm into the
Yeah.
marmots.
They're so
But
cute.
besides the animals too, I know that you like yoga and wellness, right? So
Mhm.
I see that they have like a health center, it's like a spa. They call it a relaxation center.
They do, and we were there in winter, so that was not running at full speed. If we had made our reservations like a couple days earlier, we could have arranged for massages. But I wanted to be out on the farm. I wanted to see more than to spend time
Yeah.
relaxing.
I know that's what happens. Travel writers need the relaxing part, though, and I think that's something to talk
Yeah.
about because when you're out on these trips to get
Mhm.
the stories, I mean, it's nonstop, isn't it? Do you take notes on your phone, or are you taking notes more by photography? How do you get
All
all
of the
your stories
above.
together? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I always carry a pen or pencil and a small pad of paper, a little notebook with me because I find that invaluable, and it helps to spur my imagination too. But I also, if I don't have that right by me, I'll take it on the phone, just tapping into the phone, and I take pictures of signs all the time. Just to remind me of how to
Yeah.
spell things,
Mhm.
and as a reference point. I take way too many pictures and video. Yeah, my family will tell you.
So when do you speak French? Because I know I'm on their website and
Mhm.
they do. You can read it in English or French, but if you don't speak French, is it easy to communicate with everyone?
Absolutely. For example, on the first morning we were there, right after breakfast, they take a small group of people into the Hen House, which really had sheep and pigs and all kinds of different birds and bunnies and goats and lambs in there. We went in as at feeding time, and there are two guides that are usually there on the farm, and one of them is very proficient in English, and the other was very proficient in French. And actually, she was kind of our guide, and she spoke the Normandy French, so it was a little different again. And there was someone in our group who would translate things for us as we needed.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
That's cool, man. It's
Hmm. Do they grow things as well out there, or is it more animals?
It's a lot of animals, but I know they are expanding in terms of their growing, but they also have a sugar shack and make maple syrup. So I know there's a grove of maple trees there somewhere.
Hmm.
wow. So you got to make candy, right, and get involved in the process.
Yes,
Yeah.
this was so much fun. We were like kids in a store. Jimmy, one of the sons of the Deshane family, I can say that right. But anyway, Jimmy came in very proudly with a pitcher of heated maple syrup, and he puts that down, and then he turns around and he had a big tub of shaved ice. And usually in the winter, they'll go out and do it outside. But because we were at the very end of the winter, there wasn't enough snow. And we stood there around this tub of ice, just giggling as he would pour the syrup in at a very steady pace and just dollops of it. And then we would take popsicle sticks and roll them in this, I don't know, would you say coagulating? It's kind of thickening maple syrup, and just suck on
Mm.
that and just basically enjoy a sugar rush.
There's nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned sugar rush, okay? Like it's a
Out
good
of
thing.
delicious homegrown, locally harvested maple syrup too. He was so
Wow.
proud of it.
Oh man, yummy.
How much fun is that?
I know. I've got like a little
Yes.
craving going on now. Thank you. So, what got you into the world of travel writing?
Oh, I love travel forever. When I was in my 20s, I had a chance to follow my heart and someone up into Southeast Alaska, which surprised everybody because
Wow.
I had been a San Francisco girl at the time.
Okay.
And I stayed there for 6 years. And while I was there, it was not unusual, I discovered, while I was working my dream job, and others who were working there in the capital city of Juneau, to take a month or two off during the winter. It's like you get cabin fever, and people could do that. Well, the young man I was living with said, I'm going to take a 6-month sabbatical. Let's go travel the world. And I said, well, have fun. I don't see that happening. And he said, well, all you can do is ask. And my boss said to me, as long as you promise to come back, find someone to take your job, go. I was shocked. And that changed my life, because I realized as I was flying to London, which then took me to Sri Lanka and via Moscow and all these things, and then around France and Europe for several months, that the hardest thing was planning the trip. And then once you're on the plane, you just go.
You're in it.
Yes, and I'd always written, and friends had suggested that I continue that. And at the time, I was more recently, in the last 10 years, I was a yoga teacher as well. And my son was in high school, and I ended up writing a little book about how to take care of yourself, doing small yoga while breathing techniques and such to manage stress and the aches and pains from travel. And that's where my blog really came out of. At the time, it was part of an author's platform. And that little book, Drive Time Yoga, it's out of print, but I still sell it online. And
you have the audio, right?
Yes, and I have the audio book out there. Yes.
Okay, so Drive Time Yoga. So it did. I know. I'm seeing weird positions happening while we're driving. And
I know.
At the same time, though, are we calming down so we don't become erratic, road raging individuals while we're steering?
There's a need for that.
Yeah, there is. And that's kind of a big part of what spurred it, because I was getting stuck in traffic. At the time I was living in San Diego, and it was just unlike anything I'd encountered before. And I worked with an ergonomic specialist and a physical therapist on using some of her techniques for professional drivers who need to keep from getting injured while they're driving long distances and a lot of grueling circumstances. And we just kind of put it all together so that it's very safe and simple and little things.
That is awesome, because I think it's also when you're driving, I mean, you end up in a position that you can't walk when you get out of the car. I have done, I'm one of these people. I will drive across country, crash for an hour, get back on the road. You know what I mean? Sleep in the car. I do not recommend people do this. You shouldn't be driving, too long. But Texas and I have a relationship. But you hurt. Suddenly your shoulders hurt because you start getting locked in a certain position.
Yes. But it's stressful even. I mean, there's so many cars on the road in most of the places that you go that, I mean, you're 100% aware, or you should be. Right. And then after a while, working at 100% is tiring.
Yeah, it's exhausting. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Can you share one tip for everybody out there who's, travelers, road trippers? I mean, even if you're on an airplane and someone got your reservation wrong at a hotel, there's anger that comes with travel. And my tip to everybody on that is just expect things to go wrong, because that's life. Just expect it. It's called detours. One of my favorite words. But any tips for especially travel writers out there that are hauling so fast?
The one thing that I do often is an adapted yoga breathing technique, and it definitely helps my mind to calm down and my heart to stop racing and to get a little bit more centered. And it's just let's see if I can remember this correctly. You breathe in slowly on a count of 5. You hold the breath for 2 to 3 seconds, and then you breathe out on a count of 5. And I try to do it in and out through my nose, but you can do what you're comfortable with. And that rhythm actually triggers a physiological relaxation response. And you can do it for 3 or 5 minutes, even to fall asleep. It helps me sometimes at night. And I can remember my son would be sitting in his car seat behind me and say, when I start getting upset at traffic, he'd say, "Mom, do that yogic breathing thing." Because it worked.
I love that. I had no idea we were going to get into yoga breathing tips for travelers on today's show, but I think we need them, So I especially when people start traveling in the holiday season.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
And I know it's August. but there's August travel season, but then there's the back to school, and then all of a sudden the next wave of travel, there's the fall travel season, and then the holiday crazy land of travel. So
parking lots are bad enough.
Yeah.
Let alone the open road. That actually seems safer to me than parking lots.
Yeah, exactly. Now the other thing too, it was on tripwellgal.com. Everyone go check that out. I was reading about you and your adventures. So talk about breathing. You know how to breathe underwater. Apparently 300 dives in international tropical waters.
Oh, cool.
Yes. About just a little over 10 years ago, I met someone who was a professional diver and photographer who encouraged me to come along with him on trips and to learn how to dive. I never would have otherwise. I've always loved the water, but I'm not a technical sport kind of person. But when I had a chance to try just a simple resort dive in Cozumel, and I just fell in love, and I was determined to get good at this. And since then, like you said, I've done over 300 dives, and I've seen some amazing places in the world. And to be underwater is one of the most blessed things. The wildlife is right there. They're not going to run away from you. I've been in the water with many different sharks. I've seen, all kinds of poisonous critters at night. I just have learned to trust, and I don't take chances. It took me about 20, 30 dives to start feeling relaxed and comfortable. So I encourage anyone who's starting out to give yourself a break. It takes some doing to make it all become second nature. And I'm still learning. I am still a basic in terms of my certification, but I've done all kinds of diving.
That's awesome. And sharks are neat.
Yes.
They are neat. And, there's creepy things under there, but I find them cool. It's like, hiking.
So colorful.
I know. And like moray eels are super pretty, and like even lionfish. I think they're beautiful.
Yes.
But you said at night. Okay. So you did night diving?
I have. I was in, the best one was actually my first there's a couple, but in Fiji, and I was very nervous, and I was with a group of underwater photographers. I let everybody, you guys just go ahead. And I got in, and I didn't want to get in the water. I was so scared of being in the dark. But it's so funny, as once I slipped into the water, and they said, just hang on to the rope for a moment and you'll go down with the dive master, which I always highly recommend. If you're nervous about anything, stay close to the dive master. And as soon as I got in the water and I put my face in and looked down, it was like I started chuckling, because there was so much light underwater with all these other divers. There was no way I was going to get lost or anything was going to sneak up on me.
Oh, wow. So everybody has lights. And
yes.
And so is it a different, like, have you dived in the same place in the day and then at night so you could see, like, or
a different?
Is there like different habits, because, we're used
Absolutely.
to
Yes.
following land animals, and they have patterns. Like at noon, you're not going to see, animals
raccoons
go out at high noon.
Yeah. It was very different. Octopus hunt at night for the most part.
Wow.
And so they will be out. Another thing that was fascinating is that there are certain fish that will find a way to position themselves inside of, say, stag coral. So it's like a leafy coral. And then they kind of, I don't know how they do it, but there's a kind of a mucus membrane they pull around themselves so that if anything touches that, they're awake. But otherwise, they kind of go into this semi-conscious state, and they're kind of sleeping. There are nothing goes to waste underwater, which is so fascinating. All kinds of very strange creatures come out and sift the sand for anything that has fallen. And there's a place called Lembeh Strait in Indonesia where they call it muck diving, and the creatures that come out of there is just so incredible. They're just unlike anything you can imagine. Even it's just crazy.
Wow. So when you were up in northern Quebec,
yes.
You said you got to do some whale watching.
Yes.
Did you want to go dive in the water, or with a wetsuit to stay warm? I don't know if you can stay warm enough for that kind of diving, but did you want to go dive in with the whales?
I would certainly love to do that. There, you wear dry suit. They call it a dry suit, and I have not had the training to do that. I've been in enough cold water. It's very cold water here in San Diego, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But it's not my favorite kind of diving. But if I had a chance to get in with whales, I would. But we went out on these giant Zodiacs that would hold about 50 or 60 people, and went out into the fjord and saw beluga whales.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So beautiful.
I melt. That moose and beluga. I think maybe I was, in my past life comes from that area, because you just say beluga and I'll start crying. Like, seriously, I think they're the most beautiful.
They are.
I don't know, man. They're so uniquely different. I feel like they're so ancient. Like, they know everything. They were they're the watchers of the seas.
Yes.
I don't know.
They're just incredibly beautiful. Unfortunately, when you're in the boat, what you see of them is like a white round that will surface as they come up. They take a breath and they go down. And sometimes you would see tails come up. Did you hear that?
And the whales? Do you see the tails? That's really cool.
Excuse me, there was just a doorbell. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Okay.
We're fine with doorbells. Maybe you get some travel books coming in.
I'm sorry. Anyway, you would see a tail occasionally, and they're so white and beautiful in this dark ocean that I wanted to jump in the water, but it was very cold. They have there in Tadoussac a marine mammal interpretation center that you can go in, you can see they have all the different kinds of whales that are there in that region available for you to look at the skeletons, so you really get a sense of how large they are. And there are scientists working there to count the number of whales and to make sure that they're taken care of in that area, because they weren't always, but they're trying to make sure that they have a refuge there in that region.
Oh, nice. That's nice, man. So you really had like a nature trip up there.
Yes.
Between wolves and deer. Did you get to see the marmot or raccoon or any of those kind of critters?
I saw was a raccoon, yes. He was living in a log, and he came forward to get some seeds that they put out in front of the log. So you get to watch them eat with their little hands. And there were beautiful owls. I did not see the marmot. But I was fascinated by the different kinds of horses they had. They had a llama. They had a big bull with huge things, very territorial gaggle of geese out there on the property.
Cool. I love
geese. Turkeys and stuff like that. It was wonderful.
And the bison, they're magnificent.
Yeah.
They're massive.
They're really amazing beings. So you got to have a really cool nature trip up there. I'm like all of your different travels. How many countries do you think you've been to now?
The last time I counted, there was about 35.
Right.
Not enough.
I know. There's never enough, right? And so I also read that you like to hop over, to your neighboring country of Baja of Mexico.
Yes.
We used to live out of Punta Banda, which is just south of Ensenada. Did you ever go out that way, or
is it near the blowhole down in that area?
Yeah, by the blowhole, La
exactly.
Bufadora. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I love to go down there, and I've become absolutely enamored with the Valle Guadalupe. I don't know if you.
Oh yeah.
The wine region.
The wine region is fabulous. It
beautiful.
Hasn't it grown in the last?
Very much.
The last 10 years. I remember when it was like just the beginning of it. That's really like 20 years ago, I think now, when we were hanging out there a lot. And it seems like that area is finally getting some recognition for it, not only its wine, but its culinary. The food out there is incredible.
This is something I encourage people all the time to go down. It's 2 hours from my home to get into this valle, and it's one of 5 specific growing regions in the world that have this particular mineral characteristics. Plus, it has its own, I guess I call it terroir. The minerals there have a very particular kind of composition, and the the Spanish when they were there, and then the Italian families came in, a few Russians came in, and then the Mexicans really kept it going after the Spanish went into the more urban areas. And now it has, you have everything from the mom and pop vineyard where they've got some olive trees and a little shop where they'll sell you things and their beautiful wines, to the most sophisticated tasting rooms you could ever want to visit. There is one that is, I think it's De Cantos, that has a gravity-fed vintning process where they put the grapes in at the top, and at various processes, parts of the process, the wines actually go down into the underground cavern where they have the huge barrels. And it's just, and their tasting room is open to beautiful views across the valley, and they have cheese and bread plates, and it just goes on and on.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, I know.
And they really, I mean,
they really have changed.
It's been a while, and you know, people get nervous about crossing the border, and here we are in Tucson. On, you know, we're a border community too, and yes, things do happen. However, it's about being conscious, you know, being aware. There's conscious travel of being, you know, light-footed, and, you know, it's sustainable travel. But then there's also the conscious travel of being aware and observant of your surroundings. And once you're, you know, there, the people are so nice. They're so sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the food is so good. I'm wanting chili. I want chili Achilles right now.
The music.
For some reason. The music, just the beach,
the color of it all. You know, because our homes are always kind of tan, beige, you know, white, and then you go somewhere like that, and the blue house and the pink house.
I love it.
The yellow house. It's
man,
fun.
I
it's so full of life. Yes, yes,
exactly,
it's fun.
Exactly. So now, with your website, I want people to know is to click through to your YouTube. You've got a gazillion YouTube videos, and you do these short little, like 2-3 minute travel tips of going here, go there. Really cool. And one of my favorite ones, Cabrillo National Monument, obviously. That was our very first park that we started our national park tour. Was Cabrillo. Because our goal is to visit every single national park unit, and there's 418 of them.
At least,
and we were on the road for 3 years doing it, but we kept going in circles because we thought we had just, you know, we wanted to cover everything, like every part of everything. But Cabrillo was our first, and we'd been there before, but Cabrillo is so fascinating. It's one of those, the history of Cabrillo, and then the biological diversity of, like, here's the tide pools, and then the hummingbirds, and, you know, it's just I love it there. I miss it.
I love tide pools.
Yeah.
There's something just so much fun about that, you know?
Yes.
When you started your website, did you think, or your blog, did you think that, hey, I'm going to get into video right away? Is that, you know, because you're good at it?
Oh, well, thank you very much. I am still learning. I'm still a newbie at it. I love it for the storytelling. I realized about 2 years ago that there were things that were happening through movement that would take, you know, 800 words to describe and be much more fun to watch. So and then also I learned how easy and how good cell phones have become for shooting video. And now I have, I favor that also because I enjoy talking to people. And if I bring out like my Canon camera on this holder that's a stabilizer with the big microphone and light and everything, people are, you know, that's intimidating. But everyone is used to taking selfies no matter where you go in the world now. And if I just ask someone, may I take a picture? Or do you mind if I ask you a few questions and I hold the phone up? They're not as reluctant. And that's really encouraged me with video.
Do you use like a selfie stick when you're doing your presenting part?
Oh, I have resisted it. I've just started using a selfie stick just in the last couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah. Because it's. I know you.
It's okay if you just don't walk backwards.
I know that's why I have big boots, because I just, like, I'm very observant until it gets to that point, and then the next thing you know, I'm standing on a snake's head or something, or it's just because I'm watching what I'm filming, you know what I mean? And you can get yourself in trouble,
Yes.
as Nancy knows. Cars come around and you're like, no, I'm filming a bird.
I remember like photographing and filming a charging elephant, thinking he was so far away until people started yelling. Then you put the camera down, you're like,
it's really here.
Oh my goodness.
And the driver of the car was like, "Madam, we must go." And I'm like, "No, wait." And then it's like, go. Go.
Well, we've had some interesting animal encounters, that's for sure. Remember the one where the elephant came up and just started pushing the car?
That
was crazy.
We were on a cliff, on a road, on a cliff, and we go around the bend, and there's this big male elephant right in the road. So we stop, and then we just stay, and then he walks toward us at the front of the car, and he just started pushing the car, and we're like, what are we supposed to do here, little Nellie? Don't do that. That was amazing. And then I was afraid, like, if you turn the engine on, or you make, if you do anything sudden, that you're really going to get in trouble.
Wow.
So you just kind of have to sit there and hope he, and eventually got bored with it. But it was really exciting, I have to admit.
Have you been to Africa?
Not yet.
You gotta go.
I highly recommend that you
gotta go diving in Mombasa.
Yeah, that's what
I'm saying.
Yeah, you gotta go to Kenya. Mombasa. I grew up snorkeling.
Lovely.
They should call me a leatherback turtle now.
My.
And the water's warm. It was like body temperature.
Sounds like heaven.
So clear. People got in, bottom, glass bottom boats and things like that. But as a kid, it was so cool.
Yeah.
And you would see, I was addicted to it because it was like TV could never come as close as this. There's nothing like it. And just, there'd be urchins and things and little sharky things and, but there's this I don't know, that I think there's a connection you have with them when you're in their habitat, and there's just this balance of not doing anything to them and they won't do anything to you kind of thing.
They're curious often too.
Yeah. They're like, what is that? That's a big fish.
Yeah, you've been to the Galapagos, right?
No, not yet. I saw you have.
I was last year, and talk about amazing animal encounters on land and in the water, because the animals there are, so what? You're 2 legs and I've got 4. Keep going. They don't pay any attention to you, really. I walked over sleeping sea lions and around iguanas, and was close to hunting raptors. It's an incredible place. And then I did a little bit of diving there, and the sharks they would just sleep and, move their tail. And so what if you're there? If you're not, it's not feeding time, they don't care about you.
Wow.
But the turtles there were the most stunning thing, because we snorkeled with turtles, and they could have cared less that a human being was there. They just wanted to eat. And they're these massive creatures with, necks that are like almost a foot wide. And you mentioned leatherbacks. Those are really big. But these were different kinds of turtles that only live in the Galapagos Islands. It's just such a blessing to be close to these creatures. I really feel so very fortunate.
Wow. You've had a really cool life. You really have. Really cool traveling and, going around. And everybody also, I mentioned Elaine is an award-winning travel writer. She's got the NATJA, the NATJA. We've got the IFTWA and the NATJA. Bronze Medal Award for Internet Luxury and Leisure Travel Writing. She's also got her blog got an honorable mention from the Society of Professional Journalists, the San Diego chapter, Indie Excellence Award for the Drive Time Yoga audiobook. So when it comes to IFTWA, joining the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association, I see that it seems that you take the professionalism side seriously of joining organizations like IFTWA. How have you enjoyed it so far that you've been connected with them?
It's a wonderful group for community. There are many members. It's very active here in Southern California, and that was what really drew me to join. Writing and video and and at radio, I'm sure, is very isolating. You work on these technical things, whether it's writing or whatever it is you're being creative with, but it's solitary. So being in these communities, going to conferences, but having a regular community that I can get together with and travel with is just beautiful. I just had lunch yesterday with one of the IFTWA members that I met a couple years ago, and we just stay in touch loosely and just kind of check in with each other. They're my tribe.
Oh, nice. I like that.
But it's like minds too.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
you travel in groups, I've led a few tours, and when you have people from all over the place, and they're all going on the same tour, but for different reasons, and they all have different temperaments and purposes for their trip. It's not the same as a group who's going for the same purpose,
Yes.
and who's already respecting and loving the same thing. So
Right.
and it's comfy to travel with people like that.
And I've seen from the members, like you say, the community, but it's a community of helping each other. It's like whether it's the technical side or sharing travel notes on tips, how to do things, or destinations, connecting people with maybe the destination itself or the CVB. One of the things I really love is IFTWA on Twitter and following the hashtag IFWTWA. Everyone is retweeting things and working together in social media. But as an avid traveler and a lover of travel and food and wine, it is so much fun to just follow that hashtag. It's the first thing I see every morning. I check our channels, and I'm always looking at what has someone posted, through IFTWA's hashtag. And I recommend anybody who's into travel to follow that hashtag, because you'll go around the world in a day. It's so
That's
cool.
awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really fun for me to see some of the members that I've been on different trips with, where they're at and what they're writing about now. And it's just very inspiring. And I get a lot of information about where I want to go or what I definitely want to put on my itinerary when I get to these different places.
Excellent.
Well, I can highly recommend that you go to Kenya and South Africa.
Yes, and then
it'll blow your mind. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think you'll really love the diving. I mean, you can go dive with sharks, great white sharks in South Africa.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't know. If I respect them too much, I think, to want to get in the water. I'll watch from the boat.
No, but in Mombasa and the beaches, in the Indian Ocean, the fish are just so beautiful. The water's so warm.
It's
the
coral.
They do have
alive.
The only sharks I really saw there on a regular basis would be hammerheads.
Oh wow, yes.
Yeah, but they just look like vacuum cleaners on the bottom of the ocean.
Well, when in South Africa, growing up, I grew up at the beach there, and you do get great whites. And when the sardines would come in, man, you just see the great whites. They'd come all the way up to the shore, man. You don't put your toes in the water at that point because they're in that zone.
Yes.
Anything that moves, your meat. But I remember going out on a friend's boat. Those little rubber dinghies.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go out there. And we were actually it was in Port Elizabeth. We were near the pier, the same place they tried to teach me how to surf, and all people got to see was Lisa hug the board and her butt in the air. That did not work. That's not happening. But all of a sudden, we were surrounded by hammerhead sharks. And my friends were divers, and they just got in. And I'm like, this is not comfortable for me. I did not feel
wow.
Secure at all. I just wanted everybody to get back in the little dinghy and let's go back to the shore. But at the same time, it was like I couldn't believe how because they're like a pod. I don't know what do you call a bunch?
It's a pod of
whales. It's a pod.
These are sharks.
Yeah.
So I know it's a pod of
whales. It's a herd of hammerheads.
There you go.
Whales. But I don't know what you call a flock of sharks.
Elaine, where is your next destination?
I am going to upstate New York, and I'm going to meet some family there. We're going to do some leaf peeping, hopefully for the first time.
What?
See the colors change.
That. Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was like, okay, there's a new thing going on. I don't know what this is.
I know.
That's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Some of my partner's adult son has never seen Niagara, so we're taking his Brazilian wife, and the four of us are going to get a chance to look at that. And then we're going up to Maine and Arcata Park.
Oh, Acadia National Park.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, it's the best place to see a sunrise. It's where the sun rises first in America. And you go to the top of Cadillac Mountain, and you catch the sunrise there. That is like the thing to do. I have not done it, but we've interviewed a lot of people who talk about it all the time, and I really want to go. So please do it and tag me on social media so I can see it.
I will definitely do that. I can't wait. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be amazing. They have moose. That's the other important thing. And where have you not been that you really want to go?
That's a hard one. I am going to India in next spring. I'm going with a group called Purposeful Nomads. I know enough from reading about it and knowing people who have gone that I wouldn't want to go by myself. I am a very independent traveler for the most part, but India is just overwhelming. So I'm going with this group for 10 days. We're going to start in New Delhi, and we're going to different villages and sites and visiting with women entrepreneurs in villages specifically. And then I get to see the Taj Mahal. And after that, I'm going to Hyderabad to one of the oldest Ayurvedic clinics for a week. I'm going to do that for myself.
Oh my gosh, I love Ayurveda. It's I would go to India just for that, to learn Ayurveda from people who've been living it for years. It's our first medical system, not system, but go ahead.
I think that if you're nervous about going to any country or location, that it's always good to go with a tour group first, because you get your feet on the ground there and get to know a little bit. You whatever is making you nervous, at least you can share with other people, and you'll have a better time the next time. If you feel that you want to go on your own, you feel like you got it under control. Because I know taking people on tour, the ones who are really nervous don't enjoy as much. And when countries can be really, really scary. So, and I'm not saying bad things always happen, but things can happen. And when you're nervous, you're not at your best game to make decisions, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yes.
Yeah. I've seen people get really flustered over small things, and then the trip becomes kind of, like negative instead of positive. So I always think people, if you're nervous, go with a tour.
And India, there's a lot of people, and I think that's where it becomes a shock,
Right.
And so, but man, it's I've always wanted to go there, and just the Ayurveda part.
I want to go see tigers.
Oh yes.
Man. Well, I can't wait to follow your adventures even further in India and Maine and Niagara Falls, because I haven't been there either. So I'm going to keep watch on that. Everybody, again, Elaine's article about her farm stay, her wildlife adventures in northern Quebec is up on nationalparktraveling.com, and will also be featured in the September-October issue of I've got the wrong date, the October-November issue of Parks and Travel magazine. Of course, you can get that at nationalparktraveling.com. I encourage anyone in the world of tourism, whether you're a travel writer, a photographer, an author, a destination, go to ifwtwa.org. It's an amazing organization to join. And also, don't forget, Big Blend Radio airs Sunday through Friday. The schedule is up on bigblendradio.com. You can listen as shows go live, or you can listen anytime on demand from all the different podcast outlets. And, we love to play music, for our guests. And Elaine, we're going to play a song called Travel Song. And it's from Misha Shellhoff. He is an amazing, amazing guitarist. It's off of his album, A Double Take. And everyone, you can keep up with him. Just go to mishamusic.com. But before you go, can you give everybody the website, because I can't pronounce it now, for the farm stay?
Yes, it is Ferme 5 étoiles. So I will spell that out. FERME, the number 5, ETOILES.com.
Right on. Thanks for doing that. And again, everyone, it's all connected in the article. But and also be sure to follow Elaine on social media. You want to give everyone your Twitter handles, your tweets, and your Instagrammies?
You can find me at TripWellGal, and I'm also at Trip Wellness on some of the different media as well.
It's best to go right to the website, tripwellgal.com.
Yes,
and you can get
it's all on
everything.
there. Yeah.
And go read her stories. They're cool. And go watch her videos as well. Thanks so
you.
much for joining us. This has
So
been such
fun.
a pleasure.
Happy travels.
You too. Here it is, everybody. Travel Song. Take care and happy travels to everyone. Thanks for listening.